and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Thank you all for coming as we celebrate the month of October and Halloween coming up. And in honor of that, I got my wizard hat on, as you can tell. So tonight we're gonna get back into Cheiro's language of the hand. Cheerios? Maybe it's Cheerios. I don't know. But anyway, I'm a bad pronunciation master. That's what I am. Nothing else in the world. I do my darndest to make things different and difficult for myself that way. So right now we are going to get right into it. But I want to say I appreciate all of you for coming and your valuable time of watching me tonight. Thank you all. I appreciate. But more than that, we're going to learn something. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. So, getting right back into the book that we know, and right where we left off. And I don't remember what square is square hand and its subdivisions. That's where we left off. And right then, that we're on chapter 3, and already, can you believe that or not? Yes, crazy, isn't it? But we're going to learn about the hand. And here we go. And remember last time we talked about the hand? We had the square hand and we had the elementary hand, which is the elementary is the lowest type. You don't want to be one of those guys. And the square hand is more of a working type. Your kind of average working type hand. And now we're going to read some more about the square type of hand because it's an important one. I think this is, because, you're going to learn about the hand. We got to learn about the palms of the hand. So this square hand means the palm square at the wrist, square at the base of the fingers, and the fingers themselves square. Such a type is called the useful. Yeah, because, it is called the useful. I recognize. Oh, this is, the subdivisions of the hand. Okay, hang on. This is a term. Okay. I'm trying to see if this was in my book. Square hand. Language of the hand. Maybe I went too far. Did we do that one? Elementary. We did the square. Dogma, that's ideas. Oh, yeah, we did this one. The square and useful hand. Sorry, everybody. There is where we go. I had the right page, but I didn't have that right page. See, it pays to have 2 books. So this is the hand that we looked at last week, or last part 1. This was the square hand. Do you have a hand like this? Look at your hand. Does it look square? Is it a hard-working hand? Square or useful hand? Remember, I'm driving the bus, everybody. This is fun and exciting. I don't know for you or me, but we're doing it. The square hand, its subdivision. The square hand with short, square fingers. Do you have a hand with short, square fingers? This particularly is often found and very easily recognized. The subject with such a type is materialistic in every sense of the term. He would be the kind of man who would say, except I hear with my ears and see with my eyes, I cannot believe. And even then, I very much doubt if such a man would be convinced. It also denotes an obstinate kind of nature, as a rule narrow-minded. These people make money, but plotting them may not be miserly, but they are businesslike and practical. They like to accumulate wealth. It is a materialistic material they seek. The square hand with long square fingers. The next modification in the square hand with very long fingers, this denotes a greater development of mentality than the square hand with short fingers. This denotes logic and method, but in a greater degree than imposed by the purely square type, which, tied down by rule and custom, must follow the beaten track. This hand, on the contrary, though submitting everything to scientific examination will not be influenced by prejudice, but will proceed cautiously and thoroughly to logic conclusions, and will find its vocation in a scientific career or one involving logic and reason. I might be one of those. The square hand with knotty fingers. This type is generally found with long fingers and gives in the first place extreme love of detail. It is also fond of construction. It builds plans from any given point to any unknown possibility. It may not produce great inventors, but it will produce good architects, mathematicians, and calculators. And it applies itself to medical work or to the science of any kind. It will choose some specialty and uses its love of detail in the perfection of its own particular study. I guess I'm not one of those. The square hand with spatulate fingers. This is the hand of invention, but always on practical lines. Men with this formation run the gamut in invention, but on practical plane. They make useful things, instruments, and household articles, and are, as well, good engineers. They love mechanical work of almost every kind, and the finest useful mechanisms have been turned out by men with the square hand and spatulate fingers. I don't think I got spatulate fingers. And the square hand with iconic fingers. Now, though at first sight it may appear strange to say that musical composition comes under this head, yet a little consideration will show that such not only is the case, but that there is a logic reason that it should be so. In the first place, the square hand is more the hand of the student. It gives more the power of application and continuity of effort, while the iconic fingers give the intuitive and inspirational faculties. The musical composer, no matter how imaginative, no matter how inspired in ideas, is certainly not without the student side of his character. If we consider for a moment the quality of brain and the disposition which is absolutely necessary, we will understand more clearly why the hand must thus wonderfully be balanced, why the inspirational, imaginative nature must be linked to that of the thoughtful, the solid, the methodical, and that will also proceed from the foundation of the unknown, or of the known, as, for instance, harmony and counterpoint to reach the world of the unknown through the gates of imagination and idealism. I've given a great study to the hands of musical people, and I find this rule invariable. I find that the same also applies to literary people. Those who, from the foundation of study, build up the ivy-clad towers of ordnance. It is here that the study of palmistry is often discouraged. He imagines that because a man or a woman leads an artistic life, be it musical or literary, that the shape of the hand must be what is commonly called the iconic or artistic. But the smallest observation of life will show that though the people with the purely iconic or artistic hand have the artistic nature and appreciation of what is artistic, yet they may not have, and I have most often observed that they have not the power or the ability to bring their ideas before the world in the same masterful way in which the mixed square and iconic do. A man of very artistic spirit with the iconic hand once said to me, "It is sufficient for the artist to be the artist to his own inner nature. The appropriation of world is, after all, the only vulgar hallmark on what he knows is gold." Yes, I reply, sufficient for your own nature, perhaps, but not sufficient for the world that expects the diamond to shine and the gold to glitter. If the flower made itself, then might it refuse to allow its perfume to scent the earth. On contrary, the square type will exert its power to the greatest advantage of all mankind. Well, that's interesting. Do you have an artist hand? The square hand with psychic fingers. The square hand with purely psychic fingers is rarely found, but approach it it is often seen in the form of square palm combined with long pointy fingers and long nails. Such a formation causes people to start well and mean well, but makes them subservient to good mood and caprice. An artist with such a type will have a studio of unfinished pictures, and a businessman will have an office filled with unfinished plans, such as blending of types. The extreme opposite of each other makes a nature too contradictory to ever succeed. You don't want to be one of those guys. You'll never finish anything. The square hand and the mixed fingers. This is a type that is very often seen, and more so among men than among women. It consists of every finger being different in shape, sometimes 2 or 3, sometimes all. It is often found that the thumb of such a hand is supple or bends back very much in the middle joint. The first finger is generally pointed out, the second square, the third spatulate, and the fourth pointed. Such a hand indicates great versatility of ideas. At times, such a man will be full of inspiration. Again, he will be scientific and extremely logical. He will descend from the most imaginative idea to the most practical. He will discuss any subject with the greatest of ease, but from want of continuity of purpose, he will rarely, if ever, rise to any great height of power or success. I have not space at my disposal to thus give the subdivisions of every type, but this is an example for the student of how the 7 types may be divided. The spatulate hand. The spatulate hand is also called not only because the tips of the fingers resemble the spatula, which chemists use in mortars, but also because the palm, instead of having the squareness of the preceding type, is either usually broad at the wrist or at the base of the fingers. When the greater brethren of information is at the wrist, the palm of the hand becomes pointed toward the fingers. When, on the contrary, the greatest brethren is found at the base of the fingers, and the shape of the hand slopes back towards the wrist. We will discuss these 2 points a little later, but we must first consider the significance of the spatulate hand itself. In the first place, the spatulate hand, when hard and firm, indicates a nature, restless and excitable, but full of energy, of purpose and enthusiasm. When soft and flabby, which is often the case, it denotes the restless but irritable spirit. Such a person works in fits and starts, but cannot stick to anything long. Now, in the first place, the particular attribute that the spatulate hand has is an intense love of action, energy, and independence. It belongs to the great navigators, explorers, discoverers, and also the great engineers and mechanics. But it is by no means confined to such people, and may be found in almost every walk of life. As a rule, it is a large hand with fairly long, well-developed fingers. The most striking characteristic of all is the singular independence of spirit that characterizes individuals possessing such a development. It is doubtless that spirit that makes them explorers and discoverers and causes them to find a large hand and very long, well-developed finger. The most striking characteristic of all of all the singular independence, the spirit of characterized individuals possesses such a development. It is doubtless that the spirit makes them explorers and discoverers and causes them to depart from the known rules of engineering and mechanics to seek the unknown and thus become famous for their invention. No matter in what grade or position in life these spatulate hands finds themselves, they always in some form strike out for themselves and assert their right to possess a mark. Look at that. So there you go. You have hands like this, the spatulate or active hand. I don't know. I wonder what kind of hand I got. Take a good look at that. Does your hand look like that? Square, spatulate fingers. No, mine are more rounded. Spatulate hand. Individually of their own, the singer, actress, doctor, or preacher with such a development will break all rules of precedent, or not by any means for the sake of his eccentricity, but simply because they have an original way of looking at things, and their sense of independence inclines them to resent suiting their brain to other people's ideas. It is from this hand that we get not only our great discoverers and engineers, but also the whole army of men and women we are pleased to call cranks, simply because they will not follow the rut made by the centuries of sheep that have gone before them. Such men and women with the spatulate hands are the advanced agents of thought. They are, it is true, often, very often, before their time. They are often wrong in the way they set out about their work, but they are, as a rule, the heralds of some new thought or life that will, years later, give life to their fellow men. This brings us down to two divisions I have just mentioned. We will now consider their meaning. The spatulate hand, with the broad development at the base of the fingers, is the most practical of the two. He will be the inventor. He will use his talents for making locomotives, ships and railways, and all the more useful things in life, for the simple reason that he comes nearer the formation of the square type. But if he has the greater angular development at his wrist, his bent will be for action in the domain of ideas. He will invent flying machines. If he has the intentive talent, hunt for new flowers. If he has the botanist, be the demigod of some new gospel if he is the priest. These people wonder that God took 6 days to make the earth. With the little power that they possess, they would revolutionize the world in a day. But they all have their purpose in the evolution of life. They are necessary, therefore they are created. Well, look at that. The philosophical hand. Well, now that you know all about the square hand, now we're going to look and with the spaded fingers. Now we're going to go to the philosophical hand. The name of this type explains itself. The word philosophical being derived from the Greek philos, love, and sophia, wisdom. The shape of a hand is easily recognized. It is generally long and angular, with bony fingers, developed joints, and long nails. As far as success in the form of wealth is concerned, it is not a favorable type to have. It gleans wisdom, rarely ever gold. People with such a type are, as a rule, students, but of particular subjects. They study mankind. They know every chord and tone in the harp of life. They play upon it and are gratified with the responsive melody more than with the clink of a coin. In this way, they have as much ambition as other types of humanity, only theirs is a different kind. That is all. They like to be distinct from other people, and they go through all kinds of privations to attain this end. But as knowledge gives power, so does the knowledge of mankind give power over men. Such people love mystery in all things. If they preach, they preach over the heads of the people. If they paint, they are mystic. If they are poets, they discard the dramatic clash and color of life for the visionary smiles and vapor drapings of the spirit. Theirs is the peace of aesthetics. Theirs the domain beyond the borderland of matters. Theirs the cloudland of thought where the dreaded grubworm of materialism dare not follow. Such hands are followed very largely among the Oriental nations, particularly in India. The Brahmas, the yogis, and other mystics possesses them in great numbers. In England, striking examples are found in the hands of Cardinal Newman, Cardinal Manning, Tennyson. They are also largely seen among the Jesuits of the Catholic Church, rarely in the English Church, and more rarely still in the Baptists, Presbyterians, and Independents. In the character, they are silent and secretive. They are deep thinkers, careful over little matters, even in the use of little words. They are looking like this. I've seen these hands before. Yes, these hands are the hands of a dreamer, a poet, an artist, somebody who doesn't want to conform to the rest of the world. I've seen these hands before. Naughty or philosophical hand. Go figure. Have you seen those hands? Do you have those hands? Ask yourself that. Are you a poet, an artist? Or are you a worker or an engineer? Will you sing songs or make inventions? Will you be the builder of those inventions? Proud with the pride of being different from others, they rarely forget an injury, but they are patient with the patience of power. They wait for opportunities, and so opportunities serve them. Such hands are generally esoterical, egotistical, which in keeping with the life they lead. When in any excess of development, they are more or less fantastical in religion or mysticism. Of this, the most wonderful examples are found in the East, where from the earliest childhood, the yogi will separate himself from all claims of relationship and kindred and starve and kill the body that the soul may live. I differ in my definition of this type very largely from the modern writers on palmistry. I fear it has been too often the case that the writer on this subject has followed too closely what other authorities have said, without taking the trouble to follow out his own observations. The greatest injury that has been done to palmistry has been done in the 19th century by the lady and gentlemen writers of the day. Such people read a few books, devote some time, times a few months, sometimes less, to the study of the fad, or something by which to make tinsel reputation of being interesting. Then they write their names to a book and disappear into a whirl of society from whence they came. Only this week I read a pamphlet written by a lady who 8 months ago did not know a line on the hand, but today she comes forward as an exponent of palmistry, and having mixed up the types in her brain, writes that the square hand with short fingers is the hand of poetry and idealism. In this work, I have endeavored to keep an unbiased mind toward the difference of opinion. And for this connection and study, when I have come to contract with the opinion of opposition to my own, I have carefully considered all points for the and against and before deciding in any direction. I have taken time to examine often hundreds of hands before coming to the conclusion on even the smallest point. When one considers the opportunity placed at my disposal, not only in one country, but in almost every country in the world, he will more readily understand that there is some likelihood of being not infallible, but fairly accurate. With these hands, therefore, it must be borne in mind that the development joints are the particular characteristics of thoughtful people, while the smooth point fingers are the reverse. Now get this again. These hands, therefore, it must be borne in mind that the development joints are the particular characteristics of thoughtful people, while the smooth pointed fingers are the reverse. So keep that in mind when reading the palm. Again, such a development gives the love of analyzing, but it is the shape or type of hand which determines whether that power of analysis be the chemicals or the for mankind. The end of the finger being square and conic combined gives the solemn tone to their inspiration and fits them specifically for the religious thought or the mysticism with which, as a rule, they become associated. Again, these hands, in the pursuit of what they consider truth, will have the patience of a square type, with that love of self-martyrdom which is the characteristic of the conic. It is the blending of these almost opposite characteristics which brings out particular ideas that make men and women with the philosophical hand type of hands so different from the practical drones in the vast hive of humanity. Well, there you go. Chapter 6, the iconic hand. Can we do one more chapter, please? Yes, I think so. Okay, the conic hand, properly speaking, is a medium hand. Do you have a conic hand? The conic hand, properly speaking, is medium size, the palms slightly tapered, and the fingers full at the base. The conic or slightly pointed at the tip or nail is often confounded with the next type, the psychic hand, which is the long, narrow hand with extremely long, tapering fingers. The main characteristics of the conic hand are impulse and instinct. People with the conic hand are often, in fact, designated the children of impulse. Yeah, you know people that do things on impulse? I sure do. I have to check out their hand. They might have a conic hand. There is great variety in connection with this type, but it is more usually found as full shorthand with pointed fingers and rather long nails. Such a formation denotes an artist's impulsive nature, but one in which love of luxury and idleness predominate. The great fault with the people possessing this type is that though they may be clever and quick in thought and ideas, yet they are so utterly devoid of patience and tire so easily that they are rarely, if ever, carry out their intentions. Such people appear to be their greatest advantage in company or before strangers. They are good conversationalists. They grasp the drift of a subject quickly, but they are more or less superficial in knowledge. As also in other things, they have not the power of the student, though want of application. They do not reason. They judge by impulse and instinct. It is that quality which makes them changeable in friendship and affection. One easily offended them over a little thing. They will also they are also very much influenced by people they come in contact with and their surroundings. They are impressionable in affairs. They carry their likes and dislikes to extremes. They are usually quick-tempered, but temper with them is but a thing of the moment. They, however, without temper, speaking their mind plainly, and are too impetuous to study their words or expressions. They are always generous and sympathetic. Selfishness or selfless, where their own personal comfort is concerned. It is true, but not in money matters. They are easily influenced to give money for charity, but alas, here they have not the power or discrimination. Consequently, the money is given to anybody or anything which may arouse their sympathies at the moment. Remember, these people are very impulsive. These hands never get the credit for charity, which falls into a lot of more practical types. To get credit for charity very often consists of saving what we give to the beggar and giving it to a church, but the conic fingers never think of that. The beggar comes, and if the impulse to give is there, well, they give, and that is all. The interesting type has been called deservedly so the artistic, but such relates more to temperament than to the carrying out the character or the artistic ideas. It would really be more correct to say that the owners of such hands are influenced by artistic, but that is that they are artistic. They are no more easily influenced by color, music, eloquence, tears, joy, or sorrow than any other type. Men, women possessing this class of hand respond quickly to sympathetic influences. They are emotional. Oh boy, do I know emotional. And rise to the greatest heights of rapture or descend to the lowest depths of despair over any little trifle. When the conic hand is hard and elastic, it denotes all the good qualities of the first mentioned, but accentuated by great energy and firmness of will. The conic hand, hard, is artistic in nature, and if encouraged for an artistic life, the energy and determination will go far forward, making success. It will have all the quickness of the first, and all the brilliancy and sparkle in company and before strangers. And it is for this reason that the iconic hand has been chosen to represent those who lead a public life, such as actors, actresses, singers, orientators, and all those who follow a purely emotional career. Spur of the moment thing, you know. But it must not be forgotten that such people depend more upon the inspirational feeling of the moment than through reason or study. They will do things well, but will not know why or how they do them. The singer will carry away her audience by her own individuality more than by studying of the song. The actress, from her emotional nature, will stir the emotions of others, and the orator will move multitudes by eloquence of his tongue, not by the logic of his words. It must therefore be remembered that the type of hand but relates to the nature, temperament, and disposition of that individual. It is the foundation upon which the talent rises or falls. For instance, a woman with square fingers can get has a great as a singer and may often be capable of rising to greater things than the woman with a pointed formation, but she will reach that point by different means, by her application, by her study, by her consciousness work, and by the great power of endurance and patience that she possesses. Study and development are one half of the ladder of fame. Genius sits on the rungs to dream. Study works and rises rung by rung. It is the earthworks alone who dazzled by the heights above them. Confounded the two and off crown study of and calls it genius. The artistic type as a type but relates to temperament. The varieties of the fingers indicate only where the temperament is strongest. As for the instance, the artistic hand with the square fingers indicates more the student and conservatively more exactness in foundation. Methods and correctness, such persons will try and try again until they are successful. The spatulate fingers on the artistic hand will give, say to the painter, the greater brethren to design and color, the more daring ideas that will make a man famous for his originality. The philosophical will give the mystical treatment of the idea, the tones and semitones that subdue the already subdued colors, the lights and shades that creep across the canvas, the poem in the petals of the asphodel and the benedictus in the hand, and the smooth, the dying, all will be detailed. But the detail leading to the regions of the spirit, all will be calm, but with the calmness that awes one with the sense of the mysterious. And we will continue with the psychic hand next time. Thank you all for joining me. Oh man, this has been so interesting. We're learning about the hands. Now, which hand do you have? Oh my goodness. Are you impulsive? You do things on the spur of the moment? Are you emotional? Are you an actress or a singer? Look at your hand. What hand do you got? What hand do I got? I think I got the working type hand. Look at that. So far, I got we're the big hand with the square fingers. Yeah, I think I got a square finger. Don't you think? Yeah, big hand, long fingers. Yeah, that's what I got. What do you have? Well, let me know. Send me an email. Hey, make a copy of your hand and send it to me, and we'll analyze it right here on the show. So this is going to be interesting. So figure out now. Go look at other people's hands and see what they have for hands, and then let me know if this is all turning out right. I can imagine some of the people I knew back in the day. Wow, I've seen hundreds of hands, and I can imagine some of these people, boy, this stuff is right on. Anyway, go out, check it out. Remember, go out and do something fun. Go out, say hi to your neighbor. And, if you got nothing else to give them a smile, wave to them, do something nice for somebody. Anyway, with that said, go out, be the frequency you want to receive, everyone.